She walked to his big desk, her steps sure, and placed a paper in front of him. It was a divorce petition. Taehyung just stared at it, his face turning pale, all the colors draining away as if he had seen a ghost. His eyes, usually so sharp and strong, were wide with utter shock. Paien's voice, though quiet, was incredibly powerful. It echoed in the stunned silence of the study. Paien, her gaze firm, not blinking. I'm not a decoration for your fancy house, Taehyung. I'm not a quiet shadow to fill your empty spaces. And I'm definitely not a consolation prize. She took a slow step closer to the desk, her presence suddenly filling the room in a way her quiet nature never had before. Paien, for too long I made myself small, hoping you might finally notice me. I bent, I broke, I put up with your coldness and your clear affection for someone else. I suffered through your cruelty, even when you tried to hide it as just not caring. But I'm not that woman anymore. That woman died a long time ago, right here in this house. Taehyung finally found his voice a strained whisper. Taehyung, Paien, what is this? You can't be serious. This is crazy. Paien picked up the pen, her hand completely steady, and signed the paper with a strong, clear stroke. The sound of the pen scratching against the paper was loud and final. Paien, looking right into his eyes, her voice growing stronger with each word. My value is not decided by if you approve of me or by your fleeting attention, Taehyung. My happiness doesn't depend on whether you choose to even know I exist. Who I am is not tied to your validation. She put the pen down, her hand resting flat on the signed petition. Paien, I deserve a life where my heart isn't constantly hurting because you don't care. I deserve respect, not just being tolerated. I deserve to be chosen, truly chosen, not just brought as a part of some business deal. And I deserve to be wake up in a place where I don't feel invisible every single day. Taehyung pushed back from his desk so hard his chair scraped loudly. He looked around the rich room, then back at her, a flicker of something like desperation in his eyes. Taehyung, Paien, wait. We can talk about this. This is too fast. Think about what this means. My position, your, our. Paien, cutting him off, her voice ringing with a new strong authority. There is nothing left to talk about, Taehyung. I have thought about what this means. My position is that I am no longer your property, your accessory, or your convenient wife. And as for our future, it ended the moment your affections lay so openly with my sister, and you saw no fault in it. She took a step back, a feeling of freedom pouring off her. Paien, so no, I will not waste another moment waiting for you to see what you had. You can keep your empire, your power, and your twisted idea of affection, because I am choosing myself. I am choosing my peace, and a man who can't see the true worth of something when it's standing right in front of him deserves to live with the emptiness he creates. She turned and walked out of the study, leaving Taehyung alone in the silent, cold mansion. The signed divorce papers lay on his desk, a clear sign of woman he had finally seen only when she decided to disappear from his life forever. The heavy oak door clicked shut behind her, sealing her freedom and his lonely silence. Taehyung stood frozen, the divorce papers on his desk, a star white against the dark mahogany. The ink of her signature, YN, was still fresh, a silent but deafening testament to her will. He slowly reached out, his fingers trembling slightly as they touched the papers. It wasn't just a document, it was a physical embodiment of his complete loss of control. For all his power, his wealth, his network of spies and guards, she had just walked away, and there was nothing he could do to stop her. The rage that had filled him moments before vanished, replaced by a cold hollow dread. He picked up the heavy golden pen, she had used and stared at it. Then the empty space where she had just stopped. The silence in the study, once a comfortable quiet he never noticed, was now a roaring void. It wasn't a silence he had chosen, it was a silence she had left behind. He looked around the room at the expensive art and the shelves of books he rarely read, and for the first time he felt like a prison walls. He stormed to the door, flinging it open. Taehyung, voice booming. Where is she? Find her. He was met by a startled security guard. Guard, sir, Mrs. Kim left in a taxi just a few moments ago. She said she was taking a trip. A trip? He remembered her calm voice earlier, submitting her schedule as per his orders. It wasn't a schedule of errands. It was her plan for escape. He raced to her bedroom, the grand empty space that was no more mausoleum than a home. It was spotless. Her clothes were still there, her jewelry and expensive bags untouched. All that was missing was a single small suitcase, the one containing her most basic clothes and the tools for her tapestry restoration. YN, meanwhile, was in the back of a beat-up taxi, the city lights rushing past her window. She felt a terror so profound it almost made her sick, but it was mixed with a wild, exhilarating freedom. She had left her wedding rings and the keys to the mansion on her nightstand. She had taken nothing he had given her, only what she had built for herself. These tapestries, half finished and painstakingly mended, were placed carefully in her suitcase. Her future was uncertain, full of fear and a chilling unknown, but it was hers. Back at the mansion, Thing stood alone in the hallway, clenching the divorce papers. The magnificent house was no longer a symbol of power. It was an empty shell, haunted by the quiet woman he had never truly seen until she was gone. He had controlled a crime empire, but he had lost his own home. And in the apprehensive silence, he finally understood that her greatest strength wasn't her quietness or her endurance. It was her ability to walk away from everything he had and everything he was. YN stepped out of the taxi, a single worn suitcase in her hand. The air of the city was different here, not the sterile, filtered air of the mansion, but a chaotic mix of street food, exhaust, and a million different lives of all happening at once. Her new home was a small, two-room apartment above a bustling bakery. It was a simple, a little one, but the morning sun filled the main room, and for the first time in years, she felt a genuine warmth. Her fear was still there, a constant knot in her stomach, but now it was a small price to pay for the exhilarating, terrifying feeling of being free. She spent her days meticulously minding the antique tapestries she had taken with her. The work was her anchor, a way to focus her hands and mind. One day she found a small flyer for an antique textile gallery looking for a restoration artist. With a deep breath, she walked in, presenting her work, and was hired on the spot. Her salary was modest, but it was money she earned with her own hands, and that made every penny feel like gold. She could eat simple meals and cook herself, shop at the local market, and find joy in the small, everyday things that had been lost to her in the mansion. This was her new life. It was a fragile and uncertain, but it was hers. Meanwhile, back in the silent mansion, Taehyung was a man possessed. Her last words echoed in his empty halls, a constant, maddening refrain. He couldn't accept it, the idea that she had walked away, that she was truly gone, filled like a hole in his chest he couldn't fill with money or power. He turned the full force of his syndicate on the search. Taehyung, voice low and dangerous, to his head of the security. I don't care how many men it takes. I don't care how many cameras you have to hack. Find her. I want every single street, every cave, Every building in the city search until you find a trace of her. Smith worked tirelessly, following every lead, no matter how small. He would lock himself in the study, staring at the signed divorce papers. The anger and indignation slowly giving away to a new unsettling feeling, a desperate possessive longing for the quiet woman who had managed to escape his cage. The quiet presence he had taken for granted was now a deafening absence that made his grand mansion feel like a tomb. One afternoon, YN was at the textile gallery, carefully cleaning a delicate tapestry. She had her back to the large window, engrossed in her work. A sleek black car with tinted windows slowed down on the street outside, its engine a low, menacing purr. Inside, a man in a dark suit stared through the glass, his eyes scanning the gallery. He saw YN's profile, her hands moving with quiet purpose. A small genuine smile on her face as she worked. He reached for his phone, a cold look to triumph in his eyes. YN unaware suddenly felt a shiver down her spine, a chill so familiar and unwelcome, prickled the back of her neck. She stopped her work and glanced outside the window, but the black car was already gone, disappearing into the endless flow of traffic. It was just a moment, a flashing of feeling, but it was enough to make her heart pound in her chest. She had a feeling her past was just beginning its hunt. Taehyung had lost control of his world, and he was punishing everyone for it. His study was no longer a place of quiet command, it was a fortress of fury. The search for YN was all that mattered. The entire city was being turned upside down. He wasn't just looking for his wife, he was hunting down the one person who had defined him and won. The mansion, once a symbol of his power, now felt like a cage of his own making, filled with a silence so heavy it felt like it could suffocate him. He kept hearing YN's last words, her calm voice telling him that a man who could never see the true worth of something deserved to live with the emptiness he created. A frantic knocking at the door broke through his thoughts. His head of security entered, looking terrified. Taehyung, voice low and dangerous. What is it? Do you have her? Security. No sir, it's Mrs. Lia. She insists on seeing you. She seems very upset. passed. Wai's small textile restoration business had blossomed. Her work, a testament to her patience and skill, was in a high demand. Her apartment above the bakery was no longer just a place to live. It was a home filled with the aroma of bread and the soft light of a new day. She had made friends, found simple joys, and discovered a peace she never thought possible. One morning, she sat on her sunlit window sill, sipping coffee and looking at the bustling street below. A man who was once the master of her life had become a faded memory. Her heart, once a casual, was now a source of quiet strength. She was happy, she was peaceful, she had everything she had ever truly needed, and she had found it not in a man's love, but in her own freedom. In the silent, sprawling mansion, Taehyung found himself a king with an empty throne. The echoes of his own footsteps mocked him. He had spent years seeing YN as a quiet background detail, a position to be tolerated while he chased the light of another. Now that quiet of deafening roar and a constant reminder of the life he had pushed away. The power he wielded outside meant nothing in the face of his hollow victory. He had controlled his entire world only to realize he had lost the one person who had truly been his. His regret wasn't just about losing her, it was about the chilling, isolating emptiness she had promised he could feel and was now living with every single day.